Welcome to U Version 2 podcast with me, Brendan McCauley, and today we have a special guest, Chris Plourde. Is that the right way to pronounce it? Is it a French?
Very close. There you Plourde, yes.
Plourde.
Mm-hmm.
Very good, very good. So, Chris, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on. I'm a coach, a teacher, an instructor. I work with people with using all sorts of tools to really unlock and unleash their true why, really getting them to come from a place of happiness, of joy, of gratitude, and I think so many of us, we're programmed at such a young age to do certain things based upon our parents, our mentors, our uncles, our aunts, or whoever that projected a lot of their beliefs on us, which they should have, because they lived their own lives and they wanted the best for us. So they did the best job with the tools that they had.
Yeah.
But I believe a lot of that programming that was most likely instilled in us from the age of 20 under needs to be reprogrammed. New habits need to be formed, new ways of doing things, new belief systems. And when we can use different tools such as, coaching, different workshops we do, retreats, breath work, yoga, whatever that is that's calling to that person, there's a message that goes in there, and they get to learn themselves, and they get to unlock whatever that is for them. And I love being that person to kind of hold that space and guide them through into their truth, into their purpose of life.
The learning of life doesn't just end when you finish school or university or whatever. I really find, at a certain point, even in my life or career, I thought, I know it all. I have it sorted. If any issues, I can deal with it. And then you start to realize, no, I'm not perfect. I do make the odd mistakes. So, okay, let go of that thought and just go with the flow and then start to embrace it. And more recently, reflect on life and start to go, hold on a minute. There's a lot of things I may have missed or not picked on or focused on. So personally, for me, in the last 5-6 years, I've been focusing on me, on the belief that if I focus on me, improve myself, well, I'm going to be a better person for me, my family, my friends, and my work colleagues, my teammates, or whoever else I engage with. So that's sort of the platform I'm coming from. I had to sort of relook at the foundations as we did in construction,
That's right.
Reinforce the foundation a little bit, and then build more on top. So that's I love what you do.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I think it gets back. A lot of people get confused on, I'm giving to my family, I'm giving to, my job, I'm giving to my parents, I'm giving to give. And then at the end of the day, years later, you realize, wow, my cup isn't full. I'm like operating, I'm just barely getting by. I'm barely surviving. I'm struggling to get to the weekend, waking up on Mondays very unhappy. And if that's the underlying context you're holding, right, you're not going to be able to be the best version of you. Your kids aren't going to get the best version of you. Your job is not going to get the best version of you. And it's not a selfish thing at all. It's a very self-loving thing. For lack of a better word, it's like, hey, let's take care. And I love what you said about the foundation, the values, the things that make us tick. And when we can really embody that, man, that's where the confidence, that's where the real game changers come in the world, is because they get an opportunity to look inside. And I think in that deep well of wisdom is where a lot of the answers lie, for sure.
And I personally find that some of those answers are very simple. They're very not the secrets of life, but some of those secrets of life are very simple when we put them into practice. And we'll maybe talk about them as we go on. But firstly, I'd like to ask you, Chris, and everybody has a different understanding or concept of it, but what does happiness mean to you, Chris?
Yeah. I alluded to it a little bit, but I believe happiness for me is waking up on a Monday morning and going, yeah, I can't wait for the week. Is looking in the mirror and go, yeah, I like that person. I like that person that I'm seeing looking back at me. Like being able to look into your own eyes and go, yeah, you've done a good job. I'm proud of you. And this isn't about bragging. This is about owning your wins. And I got really confused about that at such an early age. Was, no, if I tell people that I've done something right, or that's bragging. That's, no, I used to go from one goal to the next, and it was like, okay, next.
Mm-hmm.
And I never sit in the pride of what it is to be successful, to be a man, to move, to look at my life and go, wow, you've done some great things around here, and I think that's a confusion that a lot of people go through. So happiness is a fulfillment. Happiness is a self-love. Happiness is just really being proud of everything you're doing and what you're working on at the same time. Like your dreams, you're working towards something, falling in love with this journey that you're on. So it's a great question, and we all have our own answers to it. But it's pretty loaded.
Across the years, I know if someone asked me what it would mean to me, I'd certainly come up with completely different answers at different points in my life, But
that's right.
That's the journey of life. and in that space of happiness, is there something that the last time you felt really, really happy?
Sunday. I was looking around, and I was actually talking to my wife about this. I was just like, I've worked. I'm looking at everything I have. I'm looking at my kids. I got 2 kids, 16 and 10. We live in a great place in Southern California in the States. I get to work with some amazing, inspirational people. And I'm just looking around at the moments and embracing what I have. And I go, you could complain, or you could look at all of these little issues or problems, or you could see them as challenges. And I was like, you know what? I'm fulfilled. I'm feeling really grateful and happy right now. And that was just Sunday, So I can name many different times and many different moments in my life that I got through. But I think it's the small moments that really define us. It's not necessarily accomplishing the big things. It's just waking up and being good with who you are. So
and maintaining and having those happy moments regularly. They don't, as you said, they don't have to be some big grandeur. It can be just the simplicity of life and the appreciation of what we have sometimes, or even I had a lovely steak there. I live in Italy, and I got we got some Irish steak delivered, and it was just, that's so delicious compared to some of what we have here. A little happy moment.
Yeah. See, it's that. But people, I think people get so confused. They think they need to reach the top of this huge mountain, this big accomplishment, this degree, or this relationship, or this job, or a certain amount of money that they made, and then I'll be happy. And by the way, that was me. I wouldn't allow myself to be happy until I reached a certain goal. So I'm not judging at all. All I'm saying is, when I learned to slow down, and I remember my coach years ago telling me this, he's like, you just got to slow down. You just got to slow down. I didn't know what that meant exactly until I did slow down. And I was able to look around and go, this is pretty cool. This is a great life that you manifested, and then when I understood that, it was like, there was a lot of internal freedom that I was able to kind of sit with and embrace. So
there was I started coming to the realization myself, slow down and just stop. I started to understand what the phrase was: stop and smell the roses. We have a goal, or we want to achieve this, or climb the mountain and reach the peak. Bloody hell, enjoy the bloody journey as you go. Yes, it's nice to have an objective to get there, but let's enjoy it as we go, instead of beating ourselves up every step because we haven't achieved it yet. So that sort of changed my things quite a bit. Happiness has the risk of fading away.
Mm-hmm. So I missed that. You said happiness has the risk of fading away.
Do you think there's a risk that happiness can fade away with time?
It all depends on what you're willing to look at. Right? We wake up every moment and we have a choice. Right? We can look at the darkness, we can look at the problems, or we can rephrase and shift perspective on where we are in life. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't have these moments where you grieve something, you lose something, right? This or you're in this state of remembering something that happened in your life and you're trying to get through it, or you see a trigger. Now, there are moments, I think there's a shadow and a light that we need to look at that comes and goes. But it's understanding our emotions that surface and being able to sit with those emotions. You've heard the term emotional tolerance, emotional fitness, right? And I think when we bury the negative emotions in our bodies, right? Like shame, guilt, we'll just name those two to start. It grows in power. When you don't give it light, when we bury those emotions, they grow in power and they overcome us, and they come out in ways that we don't necessarily want them to. They come out in a passive aggressive way. They come out in a rage and something that is blocked, that if you're not trained to see it, it's like, wow, that's anger. But underneath that anger is sadness, is fear, is so many other different things. So part of what I get to do is get underneath that, is discover why those triggers are happening, and look at those things that come out. And really, once you are able to set those emotions free and be able to talk about them, right? Be able to air them from an ownership perspective, not a victim perspective, but an ownership perspective, then that's when that freedom lies. And I think once you look at it for the first time, yeah, it's scary as hell. But you look at it again, it's still a little scary. You look at it again, you look at it again, you look at it again, it diminishes. It doesn't become this big, scary, big monster anymore. It gets a little bit lighter and lighter and lighter until it becomes a whisper. Right. And in that whisper, we get to live a more free life. Because, one of my mentors, Peter Crone, said, he goes, life presents you with situations and people that will show you where you are not free. And if we can really take a look at those people in our lives, because I guarantee if any of your listeners, right, if we looked at that type of person that keeps showing up, whether it's in a personal relationship, a person you're dating, at work, you see that same type of person that lights up the triggers within you to show you where you're not free. The circumstances come up over and over again to show you where you're not free, until you find the internal courage to look at those things and say, I'm ready to face this, which is facing yourself. I'm ready to look at this in the mirror and say, I'm ready to be free of this. And then let's get to work. Let's really go inside. Let's peel off the layers. Let's take off the masks and get real. And that's where I think the authenticity and the vulnerability is what we get to experience. And that for some is foreign. But when we get to do that, wow, are you kidding? That's where the work begins, and that's where the freedom begins.
And your analogy there of peeling the layers, peeling back the onion layers to get to the heart of the matter. I think in an industry I work in the construction industry, quite a male dominated. Right. There's females. However, there's just statistically more males. Very hard for males to peel back the layers. Now, there are people, there's more people these days, willing to talk about issues of mental health. At the end of the day, looking after mental health is the same as looking after your physical health. You need to look after it and maintain it and keep up your well-being. But peeling back and coming clean, listen, as you say, maybe there's a trigger, or there's someone in their team there's a trigger, or there's a stress factor in their workplace, or they're on site and their boys are taking the mick out of them too much and they're starting to feel a bit pressurized. But it's like, you mentioned also when you were talking there, just open up and talk, and you never know who may listen. But the thing is, it's taking that initiative to talk or to be open. And I think sometimes we have the fear that, well, who's going to listen? Or if I open up, I'll be looked at as being weak. And sometimes I would encourage anyone to listen. There's strength in opening up, not weakness. I truly believe, and I noticed you give quite a bit of coaching and personal coaching or life coaching and work with quite significant businesses. Have you any experience within that space to give us some advice or tips or hints?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I started 14 years ago on a men's team, and I walked into this team, this group, and I sat in a circle, and men were sharing, what was going on within their lives. And I looked at that and I was like, I immediately judged it, because I judged myself. I was like, why would I want to sit in a circle with these men that have so many problems? I want to be I want to be inspired by not looking at these problems. And I left and I was like, what did I just do? But I came back the next week, and I came back the next week, and I came back the next week. And eventually I started sharing a little bit about me, and I was like, whoa. And then the next morning after I shared, I was like, what did I do? Why did I do that? These men are going to judge me. It wasn't about the men that were sharing. They were sharing because they knew the secret that letting out what they were holding was going to help them go to the next level in life. And what I soon realized, that these men don't have problems. They have challenges, and they want a team to support them to get to that next level in life. Mm-hmm. Right. And so, yes, it's about talking about it, but it isn't, but finding the people that have that. We have everything at our fingertips online, right? That we can go and find a men's organization, a weekend, a team, whatever that is, and women as well, but there is that place where you can go and find those like-minded people, but you have to do the work in order to do it. You can't just go, well, I can't, tell John because he's going to judge me and he's going to make fun of me. And well, John he's judging himself. He's judging you. A person that has a judgment about you is really about me. And when we can understand that, then I think you're starting to move in the right direction. So when I go into businesses or organizations now, to answer your question, I use, we get an opportunity to talk about what the challenges are that are going on. And we talk about an ownership versus victim mindset. And it's a very different way of coming about life, right? Like I should or I need versus I choose or I get to. You see the difference? Like the owner is the choose or I get to, the victim is I need to. And that takes work to shift that. Yeah. And there is, and the words have power and meaning and vibration to them. So we get to talk about that. We get to do, I don't know if anybody has done breath work, which they use in the Navy SEALs and a lot of special ops places now, that helps them free them of that emotion. I just did a Cabo trip with 50 CEOs. We were able to do that in a room where they were able to really spend that time getting to know themselves and then share and integrate what they got. Yeah. So there's different tools we can use in all this. But the fact is, if you're willing to discuss, hey, this happened for me, this is an experience I had, this is what I'm willing to share, you will be amazed at how many people come forth because you showed that courage, because you had that wherewithal to kind of say, hey, I'm sick of feeling trapped in my body. I'm sick of feeling discouraged and depressed. I want to let this out. And when you come at it in an ownership and you're able to model that, that's when you give dozens, maybe hundreds of other people around you permission to do the same thing. And that's setting their tone, that path to be free for them as well. So,
do you know what's powerful about that, Chris, is the fact that when we actually realize and start to share and start to connect and communicate with others, we very quickly realize others have similar challenges. Others have gone through similar experiences. So we're not alone in our struggle, or we're not alone in our challenge. Some of those people may have went through it and they say, well, listen, if you're interested, I could maybe give you some advice that this is what I did and it worked for me, or maybe try this or whatever. And that way we start to overcome the challenge or the hurdle, because people are just genuinely sharing from their life experience. You know, I know I'm it's scary to say, but I'll admit it. I'm nearly 50. I'm 50 next year. But I was reflecting on my life, and I was thinking, okay, I do have experience. I have life experience. I have work experience. But, you know, what can I do with that? I need to start thinking about that and giving back. And I truly believe, you know, opening ourselves up, peeling back the layers, getting raw with ourselves and others, we will be amazed what response we get with people who open up to us. And as a result, that's going to help them, and that knock-on effect, you know, they may help others. And the words you said there, you know, it's powerful. You know, instead of being the victim, be the chooser. I choose to do this, or, you know, I get the opportunity to have this. But oh no, why do I have to do this? Why is this? And all it takes is a change in our approach, in our mindset. We're still doing the same job. We're still working with the same team, with the same people, the same challenges. But all of a sudden, we've tuned into a different wavelength, and we start to enjoy what we're doing, or we're more productive, or we're helping others. And all of a sudden, it's just a different experience in the same job.
That's right. It's perspective shifts. You know, we can't go back and change anything that has happened in our lives, but we can change the relationship we've had with those. You know, I truly believe we've all had 4, 5, 6, 7 major things that have happened in our lives that happened for us, right? And maybe those situations you'd never wish upon anybody else, whether it was some sort of trauma, a sickness, a death, you know. But the thing is, we can't shift those. And I understand some people are still grieving those and going through those. You know, I lost a sister when I was 12. You know, my parents lost a daughter. You know, and I can't go back and change what happened. I can look at, hey, she was born with a heart disease, and we were gifted with her for 9 beautiful years. That her light was able to teach us so much. So I can hold that, and I can miss her, but I can also choose to go, she enriched my life, as opposed to, if this didn't happen, then we would be in a different situation, right? You know, and we can go on and on. You know, there's stories like, oh, if we had more money, or if I was born into privilege, or if I was this or I was that. It's all perspective shift, because if we can look at those situations and we can draw out the gifts that came from those, and the lessons that you learned, and the superpowers that you gained or were able to unleash because life put you in those circumstances for a reason, then we get to shift the circumstances. We get to shift our perspective on those. You know, some of you that might be listening might go, I just hate my job. I wish my boss was this, or if I just went here, or I did that, whatever the case. The fact is, we're not saying quit your job if you don't like it. Where is your role in this position right now? What are you doing to do the work on yourself? Or same thing with the relationship, right? You know, if she did this, or if she didn't drink, you know, I have an alcoholic father, right? If he didn't drink, I've learned to love him for who he is. He makes the choices that he makes, and the trigger doesn't come up anymore, right? Mm-hmm. I don't blame him. I thank him, because I love the man that I've become, the father I've become, the husband I've become, because of the lessons that he's taught me directly and indirectly. Does he have an amazing heart? Has he been through a hard life? Has he gone through some real challenging things? Absolutely. He chooses to drink, right? I choose to still love him, but I put up some boundaries around that, right? Yeah. That's it. And when we can look at the external circumstances and go, what is my role here? And we go back to those internal triggers. What do I need to look at within myself in order to move forward? And if you've looked at yourself thoroughly and you've said, okay, this situation, this job, this relationship isn't for me anymore because I'm doing the work to work on myself, then I choose to leave. And I make the plan and I go and do something different, or I choose to go into another relationship, or don't have any relationship. But that is the key. It's the perspective and being able to turn it back on yourself and say, what is my role here? That is the ownership aspect of it.
Yeah. And the situation you described there, I went through it myself. You know, wearing the victim t-shirt and, oh, I'm doing this and no one's appreciating that, or I'm doing it. And I'm just like, hold on a minute. When I finally went through that realization and self-awareness and started to focus on me and realized, hold on a minute, I can still do the same job, work with the same team, overcome challenges with a completely different mindset and stop blaming everybody else. And all of a sudden,
that's right.
Okay, it's not so bad. Now I don't have the desire to sign up and brush up the CV and go and look for another job, because I realized very quickly with that older mindset, I'll just go to a different employer and have the same problems.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. And life is trying to show you that. Life is trying to show you, no, you can't change environments. It's going to give you the exact same thing over here, right?
When they focus, you think, what the hell are we doing? But so many of us do it. We get frustrated with something, we go and apply for a job, and we end up doing the exact same thing with the exact same problems. It's just a different person who pays your wage. But another thing you mentioned there, it's powerful. You know, life is full of challenges. Life does throw shit at us. And it's how we deal with it and overcome and take the lesson from that. And I remember, as I said, in the construction industry in Ireland, in globally, there was a big boom. There was a boom, you know, in the early noughties up to 6, 7, 8. And then suddenly there's a big crash. And I remember saying to my wife, I said, sweetheart, because that was the high, you know, lots of money, floating around, all sorts of stuff, champagne parties, going to the races in helicopters. And then there was a crash to nothing, you know, being on social welfare and stuff like that. And I said, listen, love, if we can get through this, we will be stronger as a couple and as a family. It's going to be tough, but if we get through this, it's going to make us stronger. You know, like, what was it? What's the term when you put the steel through the fire, and you tempering the iron, and the steel becomes stronger. And I believe life challenges are thrown at us, but how we overcome them, what we do during that time. And I'd always recommend to anybody, reach out, ask for help. Don't, you know, let's not suffer in silence. Ask for help. Somebody somewhere is going to listen, whether it's virtually, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's a friend, somebody. But if we don't ask, how on earth are we ever going to receive?
Yeah. That's the courage right there, is asking for help. I think that's one of the hardest things that I had to overcome, is asking for help and knowing that that's actually a powerful, courageous thing to do. You know, you just said suffer in silence. Well, you keep suffering in silence, it's going to get worse. It's going to grow. It's going to overcome you to a point where, who knows, there's going to be a dis-ease within your body that could cause sickness, health issues, injury, burnout, all of these things, right? What's easy, what's harder is dealing with those type of situations, right? And then masking it with prescriptions and surgery and this and that. Or is it asking for help before you actually can ask for help, right? That other people are coming to you and you're learning the lessons the hard way. You have an opportunity to kind of say, all right, I'm ready to step into my power. I'm ready to really see what courage and show my courage. And when you can do that, wow, the world just becomes a completely open place for you, because people want to help you. By the way, here's the other thing. People want to help. It is in our nature to be in service to others, right? That's our highest form that we want to obtain, is to be in service of others. Right? You're getting this through the podcast that you're doing. You know, you hear from people that are going, wow, this really impacted me, and how great that makes you feel. But you put the effort into doing this to help that. And when that happens, when people reach out to you, you're going to be like, I got you. Of course. People want to do that. They really, truly, it's in their nature.
Absolutely. And that's encourage anybody to ask, like I did. Ask for help. Someone's there to help and listen. And the thing is, you know, at the month May is like Mental Health Awareness Month, and you have Mental Health Week and construction, all these various things. And I had a fantastic description from Shara Ruffin. I interviewed her recently. She said, mental health, I was talking about the stigma people associate with mental health. Oh, I have mental problems. No, you're looking after the health of your mentality, your mind. We like to look after the health of our physical well-being.
Yeah,
So it's only natural to look after the health of our mind. That doesn't mean you're nuts or you're schizophrenic or you have problems. But many of us suffer from anxiety, mild anxiety or depression or stress in various forms. Doesn't mean we have grave problems. It just means we need to be aware of it. We need to create new habits, like you said at the very start,
right,
and change that so that we're looking after our mental health. It's not I would love to take away the stigma from this attitude or approach of mental health. Oh, you think I'm nuts? No, you're not. You're doing something really positive, because as you said also, when you're looking after the state of your mental well-being, you're actually looking after the state of your physical well-being, and vice versa. The two are so interconnected. It's so powerful, and hence the phrase, your health is your wealth. You're not having to buy all those prescription drugs or go to the doctor, etc., because you're looking after yourself.
I mean, well put. And another way of putting it is mental fitness, right? Mental fitness. Let's put the analogy back in the gym. If you said, all right, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to get physically fit, and you go to the gym once a month, are you going to get fit? No, right? Once a month. This is the consistency in which you show up, right? Be searching for those daily little things. It doesn't have to be a major thing every day, but learn mindfulness practices, talk to a therapist. I remember, and this goes back to old programming, when I first saw a therapist like 16 years ago, or longer than that, 18 years ago. And, it really helped me deal with a lot of parental stuff and things that I was going through, as far as how I viewed my parents and where I was in my life and burying my emotions. And then years later, when I told my mom that I saw a therapist, her first reaction was, what did I do wrong? Right? Talk about the stigma, right? What did I do wrong? Was so this is programming 101 right here. This is the parents going, you screwed up because you went there. Now it's like, I felt so good after that. And then eventually I got more therapy and coaching. And then just recently, my insurance plan said, hey, you have 6 free therapy visits. I'm like, yes. I told my family, I got therapy starting again. I got 6 free visits through my insurance. And, and I told that to my kids, and I'm like, I'm really excited to dive back into myself and have a professional, look after me and kind of guide me in a little bit deeper. And, in that moment, my son was like, yeah, I could use a therapist. That could be great to somebody to talk. He's 16. And my daughter, we're actively getting her, because she's younger and dealing with this whole COVID lockdown. So my wife went through it, but we're constantly looking for different angles and different ideas on how to help one another out, and sharing that and not having a bad stigma about it is exactly what you said. So yes, I'm extremely physically fit. I want to go to the gym and move my body every day, but I am constantly, if not more, working on my mental fitness as well.
Yeah. You mentioned there, therapists or psychologists or whatever, the talking and sharing and helping, and COVID and kids. Like, I have an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, and 12-year-old. They're all daughters, and they went to some local therapy because they were struggling. Like COVID and lockdown and all those things.
Right.
There's millions have been affected, and we probably haven't seen the full end result. So it's like we're talking. There's no harm in asking. There's no shame in seeking help or exercising that mental muscle. So anyone listening, I'd encourage you. You're a strong person. You're not weak when you actually expose yourself to others, because there will be people who will help. I thoroughly encourage.
No.
So I really appreciate your time chatting today, Chris. And I'd like to wrap it up with a few positive thoughts and things. Could you tell us maybe how in life we have our challenges and struggles, and you mentioned breathing and various other things, but is there any things you love to do to relax, to chill out, to get into your comfort zone?
Yeah, I this is a daily thing for me, and some people choose to do other things, but I every morning I wake up and I write, I meditate. I go to the sauna 5 days a week. I hit cold plunge, I do that just to really kind of center myself and get uncomfortable with, I have a different relationship with fitness. I mean, with resistance now, is I look at it as something that is here to help me get stronger, and not just emotionally, but also physically. And I can look at that and really hold that. So, for me, it's working out every day, doing yoga, hitting a cross training. I just did a big pool workout with a couple clients yesterday with all the weights in the pool. That was fantastic. So mountain biking, trail running, stairs, just really being able to push myself and meet that edge a little bit every day, I think keeps me centered and grounded for sure. So
yeah, sir. A lot of people mention exercise being an important thing, and that's one of the simple tips of finding a happier life. Exercise is actually very good for us. There's no big secret, but exercise it makes us happier people.
I mentioned also breath work. I think breath work is a transformational experience. It's a deep breathing exercise you do for about 20-30 minutes. Really, really powerful of releasing stuck energy and emotions, and clearing yourself, taking the masks and the layers off. And, and if your clients, your listeners they can get a free breathwork recording on my site.
We'll share the link
so they
there.
Can try that out.
Share the link with us, Chris. That'd be brilliant. And could you tell us, short fire questions, what are you grateful for right now?
Immediately comes my family, my health, my environment that I get to live in every single day, and the ocean, coffee. I really like coffee.
I didn't realize at the time, but as I said, I moved to Italy 3 years ago, and I've seen Lavazza coffee, back in Ireland and UK.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a year or two into it I realized Lavazza is brewed and roasted in Turin, where I live. So now I have a Lavazza machine. Cool. I used to have Nespresso, and I'm not condoning one or the other, but I thought I'd support local, and so I drink the Lavazza coffee.
No, we have one of those Italian, those screw percolator pots, that you put on the stove. My wife lived in Italy years ago. Yeah. She got yelled at by the person. She didn't do it right, or she burned it, but that's what we use every morning. So
it keeps you, but make sure you hydrate before that, folks. Hydrate before.
That's right, and after. Yes, 100%.
So, I could talk and talk, Chris, but listen, I need to give you back your time, and I really appreciate the conversation we've had today. And where can people find out more about you? Just I will share links, but could you maybe tell us a bit of where we can find out about you?
Yeah, my website's the easiest place, chrisplourde.com. Just my name.com, and then Instagram, second best place, at Coach Chris Plourde. All the information's there, ways that I work with people, retreats I do, day-long workshops, whatever the case may be. And usually people they'll come to me and we'll formulate, hey, here's what's going on. Here's some of the issues that are happening within my organization or with me. And we have a conversation first to kind of really create a plan to move forward and whatever that looks like in any way, shape, or form. So really, it's not one individual thing. I think or one specific plan for everybody. It's creating that for what the needs are of each person. So I think sometimes there are guidelines we can take in our lives and how to find, happiness in our lives, whatever way that we search for that, or balance in our lives and work and life. It's on a very personal, individual level. It's identifying and looking within, well, where are those things that we need to work on? Because there's not one formula for everybody. There's a certain recipe of similarity, but it can be real specific. It's looking within it, and it's giving into ourselves. Some decisions I had, my wife would say, why don't you do this? Why don't you try that? Why don't you stop this? Why don't you start that? Until I decided to stop or start to do it, Nothing
happened. She could recommend all day long. So.
That's right. You got it. You have the power. You know, you can have the most influential people around you and telling you to do things, but unless you decide to step into it, it's not going to get done. So,
Mm-hmm. So, Chris, I'd love to talk all day, but I have to say ciao for now from Italy, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me on. Great speaking with you.